In example 4, we're given the median home values for two regions, and we're told to assume that the house values are changing linearly, which means a linear model would be appropriate for this scenario. In part A, we want to construct a function f of time t in years for region 1, and we want a function g of time t in years for region 2 that model this scenario, and we want to let the year 2000 be t equals 0. That means one of the first things we need to do is update the two values we have in our year column to be years since 2000. So we'll update this to be 18 and 22. Then what we need to do is look at our table and make sure we're pairing the right values together. Our first model should be for region 1, meaning we want to look at the values in that column for region 1, and then for our second model, we'll be looking at those values in the column for region 2. So taking each year, which has now been adjusted to years since 2000, paired with the median home value, gives us our two coordinate points for each region, meaning we can turn over to Symbolab and construct a line through those 2 points. First for region 1, and we get our linear model, which will be f of t is equal to 8,561.36 t plus 111,524.86. Then we would repeat that process using our values of 18 and 22, but paired with the values under region 2, and we should be able to construct a second function, g of t, which would be 861.4625 t plus 260,300.055 if we round to 4 decimal places. Once we have those two models, we can start answering some questions about this scenario. In which region have home values increased at a higher rate? To answer that, we would want to look at the slopes of our two functions, because the slope is how quickly our function value is increasing or decreasing. In this case, both slopes are positive, so values are increasing, and our slope for f of t is much larger. So home values have been increasing at a higher rate in region 1 because the slope of that function is much larger. In part C, we want to use our models in part A to predict the median home value for each region in 2028. Keep in mind, in our model, T represents years since the year 2000. So we're actually going to input a value of T equals 28. And we'll evaluate each of our models at T equals 28. Meaning we'll input our function f of t, 8,561.36 t plus 111,524.86 for t is equal to 28. And we get a value of $351,242.94. Similarly, we should be able to find that g of 28 would be $284,421.01. And then in part D, we're told to assume that linear trend has been consistent over time. which would imply it would continue to be consistent. We want to use our models from part A to determine the year when the median home values in these two regions either will be or already were equal to each other. What that means is we want to take these two equations, set them equal to each other, and solving for t will tell us when those median home values were the same. So we're going to solve our first function. Set equal to our second function. And we get a value of t equals, we get a value that's slightly incorrect because I made a typo in my equation, so let me go back. That should be 260,300. And we get a value of 19.3217 approximately. So rounding that to the nearest year would tell us that in the year 2019, the median home values in these two regions were equal to one another.